The Dangrek mountain range is a geographic fortress. For hundreds of miles, it forms an impenetrable natural wall, culminating in a sheer cliff edge. Sitting precisely on that precipice is the ancient temple of Preah Vihar. In 1962, this isolated sanctuary provided the evidentiary basis for a landmark ruling at the International Court of Justice in The Hague. The Kingdom of Thailand and the Kingdom of Cambodia were locked in a bitter dispute over which nation held territorial sovereignty over the temple precinct. The physical geography, specifically the natural slope of the mountains, explicitly places the temple within Thailand's natural borders. Yet the court awarded Preah Vihar to Cambodia. This case is studied by diplomats worldwide because it proves that in international law, a nation's diplomatic behavior can legally override physical geographic reality. The baseline law governing this dispute is Article 1 of the 1904 Siam-France Treaty, which explicitly defined the border between Siam, modern-day Thailand, and the French Protectorate of Cambodia. This diagram illustrates the treaty's mandate. The border must follow the natural watershed line of the Dangrek Mountains. A watershed is the geographic ridge that dictates how water flows downhill, dividing a mountain into two distinct territories. Thailand's core argument relied heavily on this mandate. Because the natural watershed line runs north of the temple, the physical geography unambiguously places Preah Vihar on Thai soil. The complication stems from the Annex 1 map, an artifact produced 3 years after the treaty, which visually placed the temple inside Cambodian territory. This introduces the legal concept of acquiescence, the principle that prolonged silence and a failure to protest against an error can alter legal reality. The International Court of Justice had to decide which of these held supreme legal weight, the physical boundaries written in ink in the original treaty, or the silence surrounding a flawed map. When we look at a cross-section of the Dangrek Mountains, the discrepancy is clear. The escarpment, or cliff edge, sits far below the actual watershed line. The treaty established that the border should follow that higher crest. In 1907, the Siamese government lacked the technical resource range. Looking closely at the printed borderline on this map, there is a severe deviation. The line suddenly dips south of the natural watershed. Because of this cartographic deviation, the temple icon clearly sits in what the map designates as Cambodian territory. Thailand presented an airtight legal rejection of the document. The mixed commission established by the treaty, the only body authorized to draw the boundary, never formally adopted this map. The ICJ initially agreed with Thailand. The Annex 1 map deviated from the treaty and possessed no legally binding character at the moment of its inception. Then the court executed a legal pivot. If the map wasn't originally binding, did Thailand's subsequent conduct confer a binding character upon it over time? To answer this, the court mapped an evidentiary timeline starting in 1907, tracking distinct moments where Thailand had a legal duty to speak. The first failure occurred immediately. Siam received 50 copies of the 11-sheet map from Paris, distributing them directly to top officials. The Thai ministers of Interior and Foreign Affairs viewed the map, but despite their knowledge of the geography, made no formal protest regarding the cartographic error. Decades later, in the post-war era of 1949 and 1950, France sent multiple diplomatic notes claiming sovereignty over the area and requesting that Thai guards be removed. Thailand received these explicit diplomatic challenges to their territory, but again failed to issue a formal written reply or protest. The court anchored their logic on a legal maxim, qui tacet consentire videtam si loqui debuesset ac potuesset. He who keeps silent is held to consent if he must and can speak. The most damning piece of evidence of the Preah Vihar temple, a high-ranking Thai official who had previously served as the Minister of Interior, visited the temple on a semi-official archaeological tour. Upon arrival, the Thai delegation was officially received at the temple by a French resident acting explicitly in the capacity of a host. During this reception, a critical provocation occurred. The French flag was actively flown at the temple. In international law, flying a flag constitutes an overt, undeniable assertion of territorial sovereignty by a foreign power. The Thai delegation did not object. They did not ask for the flag to be lowered. The Thai government never issued a formal protest following the event. Visiting your own claimed territory while allowing a foreign power to act as the sovereign host is recognized in international law as the ultimate form of tacit recognition. This timeline of silence activated the final legal mechanism applied by the court, the doctrine of estoppel. Estoppel meant that because Thailand continuously failed to object for 50 years, they were legally precluded from suddenly claiming the map was invalid in 1958. The ICJ concluded that because both states had enjoyed the stability of the frontier for decades, neither side could retroactively plead a cartographic error. The court's verdict was definitive. The Annex I map, despite its geographic flaws, is legally binding. Thailand was ordered to withdraw its forces. Decades of diplomatic inaction and passive acceptance legally erased a mountain range and redrew the map. While Cambodia won the temple, the ICJ exercised extreme judicial constraint regarding the broader border. Cambodia asked the court to legally validate the entire Annex I map line as the definitive frontier for the wider region. The court refused. They ruled strictly on the territorial sovereignty of the specific temple precinct, refusing to legally ratify the rest of the map. Because the core cartographic errors along the rest of the border were left unresolved, future conflicts were almost guaranteed. Today, the tension over international borders remains high, and the stakes of those boundaries affect millions. The Preah Vihar case proves that a sovereign border remains a living claim, requiring active defense that physical geography alone cannot provide.